good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gigi Lee, and I will be serving as the moderator for this debate of the Republican candidates for City Council, District 43. We will start now with some opening remarks from UA3 President and Chairman, Don Hum.
Thank you, Gigi. Gigi is our incredible moderator. I thank you very much. I do want to say a special thanks to Con Edison. Con Edison has made these civil engagements possible. Without them, we would not be heard. So thank you, Con Edison. Thank you so much, Leo. And of course, our volunteers at UA3, not only UA3, but all the nonprofits that have collaborated to give us numerous 40-plus questions. Thank you very much. And good luck to the candidates.
Thank you. And please extend your applause for our two candidates here today, Mr. Vito LaBella and Ms. Ying Tan. I will start by going over the ground rules and the format for today's lively and hopefully very enlightening conversation, debate, however you want to call it. We will start with a 2-minute introduction from each candidate, and then we will have 7 open-ended questions, which were selected, 6 were selected from a list of 45 questions that were submitted from the sponsors and co-sponsors, and 1 that I, as moderator, am putting in there to spice things up a little bit. And then you will have 90 seconds to respond to each question. If you mention your opponent in your answer, your opponent will have 30 seconds to offer a rebuttal to your statement. Then each candidate will have an opportunity to ask the other candidate a question, and then we will move on to a lightning round of yes/no answers. And finally, we will have a 2-minute closing statement. Look down here is our esteemed timer. He will raise the red card to let you know you have 30 seconds left, and then a yellow card for 15 seconds left. And finally, he will ring the bell when your time is up. And Andy, who is handling our audio, will then turn off your mic so that I do not have to scream, please stop, or thank you. And we've been very diligent on timing because we have a lot of great content to go through. So you've picked randomly your seating arrangements. We will also alternate candidates answering the questions first and second. And if you'll also help me keep track, because if there's just a lot of questions, just let me know if I have it marked incorrectly. But I'll try to do my best. So with that, we are ready to begin. So we will start first with Vito and then with Ying. Please offer your 2-minute introductory remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank the organizers. I want to thank Ms. Tan for agreeing to participate in this. It's going to be a great afternoon, and I'm looking forward to it. So, as many of you may or may not know, I ran for Senate in the 17th District in 2022. That district encompasses most of the 43rd City Council District, and I came within 0.58% of victory. That's despite the fact that Republicans are outnumbered 8-1, and I was outspent approximately 10-1. And that showing was predicated on my years of service in this community. I was a lieutenant for 32 years in the police department, helping people, helping keep the subways safe. But more important, my wife Kim is right there. She and I have been working in District 20, which is the school district, for the last 10 years, helping the children and the families in this area, which is also mostly in the 43rd City Council District. In fact, I was PTA president in 2017. I retired from the police department to do that, and Kim and I worked together at IS 187, right up around the corner, and that school is a majority Asian school, and that's relevant because in June of 2018, how I got involved, how I went down the path to be here today is because in June of 2018, the prior administration decided that our best high schools had too many Chinese and Asian children. And that's a fact. And I personally was asked by the families of the school if I could help. And so Kim and I, well, we conducted protests. We marched across the Brooklyn Bridge. What we did is I had press conferences. The first press conference was my 7th grade son answering questions. I spoke to council members, I spoke to assembly members, and I spoke to senators about this. And we were successful. I had no intention of being here, running for city council, but after I lost in January, I worked for Lester Chang, Assemblymember Chang, and he personally asked me to do this because he said that based upon my service and my experience, I was the best candidate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ying? Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ying Tan. I'm running for the City Council as a Republican candidate right here. I'm a mother of 2. The first time I came down to the politician because the education has been going down in the crisis. The GND program has been used by the lottery system instead of the merit system. That is the first time they step in to find out what is going on with our city, what's going on with the system that we have. And I'm a mother. I'm also a volunteer in the community. I have been doing an outreach community for the last 7 years. I have been participating in a lot of volunteering such as like food distributing and the social service for our senior citizens. No. Okay. As a normal original citizen, I want to say that I really want to hope we have more elected officials that can work hard for our citizens. I am a person that don't want to draw a wonderful future for our residents that we cannot accomplish like the official that we have right now. I can't rely on them to do what we need. I can't rely on an official we have right here to hear our voices as the parent and the residents. That's why I stand up here to fight for our community and fight for our senior citizens and fight for our children. I'm here to fight for a safer street. I'm here to fight for quality education. I'm here to fight for protect our seniors and also our homeowners in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. We will now start with our open-ended questions, and we'll start with Ying. Also, please let me know if you need me to repeat the question. Okay. Our first 2 questions will be on the issues of mental health and public safety. Our first question. Last week, 24-year-old Daniel Penny choked Jordan Neely to death on a New York City subway. Mr. Penny has not been charged. Please share your thoughts with us on mental health and/or public safety.
So first of all, I'm not a professional on mental health, but for my understanding and my research, mental health has been a main concern as well. So addition to Mission Incorporated to achieve this goal for preventing the harm and from the mental illness people who harm our patients, the residents. For example, if unstable individual present in the subway, it is crucial to ensure they are doing I'm sorry, can I repeat it? Okay. Should I restart it?
No, go ahead. You have 90 seconds.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, I will repeat again. So, I'm not professional on mental health issues, but from my understanding and through my research, mental health has a very big concern for public safety because they don't know what they're doing when they get to the train station. And we have to guarantee support and help for them to prevent them to doing this. We need social workers to do monitoring and secure that they have to receive the treatment for the mental illness.
Thank you. Vito?
Thank you. So my first question in response, what happened to the $1 billion of Thrive money that was squandered by the last administration? That's the biggest question. What happened on the subway was evidence of a complete failure and a complete breakdown of city services. This has been going on since the de Blasio administration, where individuals are allowed to be ill and not be treated, and that's the stuff in the subway. So in my prep here, I read the Adrian Adams, City Council Speaker, Health Roadmap, and that listed action items on the local, state, and federal level. Much of it has to do with getting information to people so that they can get the help that they need, building out services, and that's great. Do it all. Do it all. But at some point, when an individual who is too sick to know that he needs help, or too addicted to know that he needs help, and addiction is an illness, we need to move toward compassionate institutional care. We need to convert Rikers into a state-of-the-art mental health and addiction treatment facility where individuals who are in danger to themselves or others can be housed and get treatment. Thank you.
Thank you. Vito will answer first for our second question on public safety. Please share with us your thoughts on gun control.
Sorry?
Please share with us your thoughts on gun control.
Well, first of all, it's not really a city council issue, right? So we have to work within the framework, within the rules that we've been given by the Supreme Court and by their guidelines. And then the state weighs in with their laws, and we have to try to, as a city council, try to make sense of it all and deal with whatever they're giving us to work with. Gun control, the first step is gun control. If we want to crack down on people who use illegal drugs, illegal guns, well, the first step is to severely penalize those people who are caught with a gun and send them to prison. Send them to prison, prosecute them. The district attorneys in this city now have a policy that if you are armed with a gun and you go into a store and you commit a burglary or a robbery and you don't use the gun, well, it's not considered use of a weapon. That's a reversal of policy from when I was a transit cop. And if someone was armed with a gun, armed with a deadly weapon, it automatically was use of a firearm, first degree, robbery, first degree, burglary, first degree, whatever it was. Those charges were upgraded, and those district attorneys understood that the first step toward addressing gun violence is arresting and holding people who actually use and possess guns illegally.
Thank you. Same question.
So right now, I believe that we have a very well-established regulation for the gun control. In reality, the most people who commit crime with the gun is the illegal guns. So we should put more regulation on those illegal guns control. And right now in your city, the crime and with the gun control is more going crisis. The crime is going crisis, and because of the bad reform we have. First of all, we need to refund the police, and we also need to hire more officers so they can protect our residents when we go on the street. And the second one is we need to restore the qualified immunity and the moral of the police officers. We need to give them the protection because they risk their life in the front line for us. They have to be protect ourselves, and we have to have the way to protect the resident like us.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to the next question, which will deal with affordability and the economy. And Ying, you will be the first to respond. What steps will you take as a city council member to support the small businesses in our neighborhood?
Okay, small businesses are now under crisis because of the inflation, the rent, and the public safety issues. It's very difficult for the business because right now they are paying very high rent, especially from the inflation. So first of all, we need to protect them from the crisis. So public safety will be the first priority. And the next one I would pick down the tax rate for the city tax, so they can not be burdened by the taxes. And this will ensure our business can survive in the city. Recently, the New York City government provided a program they call New York City Desk, which allows small business to have information how to run the business, how to get a permit, and also how to reduce the fines and violation. So on the other hand, New York City also have a lot of contract throughout the city with the small businesses. As a city council member, I would like to be a bridge with all these small businesses and make sure they have the contract and they can survive in our city.
Thank you.
You know, it depends on the businesses that we're talking about. I mean, we're not going to stop people from shopping online any more than 50 years ago we could stop people from using computers and having typewriter repair people go out of business. The world is in flux right now, and it's up to us to incentivize things that are going to work and de-incentivize things that aren't. For example, all of those empty retail storefronts along our avenues, perhaps we should incentivize the doctors and professional people who are utilizing brownstones and apartments in what was once residential areas for professional office space. We need to ensure that only owner-occupied physicians, lawyers, other professionals are in those residential spaces, because that's what the original intention, that's what the original community was. We had the doctor, had his office in the basement of the first floor, and he and his family lived on the top 2 floors, and we saw our doctors in the communities, we saw them walking and shopping with us. And so let's incentivize that, if that still exists anywhere, and also incentivize people moving who are not owner-occupied from these residential spaces into these retail establishments along our corridors that are empty. So we're solving 2 problems. We're addressing the housing shortage, and we're also trying to fill up those empty spaces. So 2 for 1, can I get extra credit?
Our next question will focus on education. So Vito, you'll be the first to answer. What steps should the City Council take to ensure that all students have equal access to high-quality education, regardless of their race or socioeconomic background?
Thank you. I've been working on education as a member of the CEC, and before that, a member of SLTs for the last 10 years. I am intimately familiar with budgets and these issues. It's not money. It's not money. We spend more money per child than any place else in the city. A lot of it has to do with a bloated bureaucracy that is sucking money up and is not accountable to anyone. What we need to do, especially in our most underserved areas, is recreate the great things that we have here in Community Education Council District 20. We have what's called the Seamless Day. So kids go to school from 8:30 to 2:30, and then there's an after-school program. There's also a program before school. Summer Rising. Every child, every single child who wants to see the Summer Rising program should be afforded one. Whether it's for a remediation to pick up some skills that they're lacking, whether it's enrichment to do something new, or whether it's for advancement to take a chemistry course that they can take a more difficult course the following year. These are the things that we need to do, and we need to make sure that we do not pull children down to try to lift people up. And that's one of the most important things I can communicate, is that's what this idea is. It's some people in the city council that we have to bring children down, and I will fight against that with my last dying breath.
Thank you. Yes. What steps should the City Council take to ensure that all students have equal access to a high-quality education, regardless of their race or socioeconomic background?
Okay, I believe that we should first restore the education system by doing the merit system. For example, the GN program right now, they're using the lottery system over the merit system. So our kids cannot get into the program based on their academic studies. So for example, my child, I have the older child who is lucky enough to get into the program because we have a lot of family move out of the district. They have concern about the equality for the education. And right now, based on the parents system, if your older son can get into the GNT program, the younger son are more likely to get into the program as well. So right now, they're based on the lottery system. Our kids cannot get into the program anymore, and the quality of that is totally changed. For example, the teacher have to teach the more academic student in a different level, and they have to take care of people who are left behind. So as a city council member, I would like to put back the resources, and also we have to change back to the merit system, and also I want to allocate the resources funding to our school to make sure that we have enough resources for the teacher and the student and the books. So also I want to fund more extra STEM programs so that students can more learn on the science and basics.
Thank you. So Ying, we'll continue with you answering this question first. What is your plan to support affordable childcare for working families?
Okay, affordable childcare. So not now, New York City have 3K and 4K programs that provide the daycare service for age of 3 and 4. For the low-income families, they can apply for a daycare service for free until the late afternoon. I believe that it is very well established. But for the people who have the infant that want to have the childcare for the infant, there's a totally different cases. Because all these facilities, they are not aware of, like, for example, the infant, they are not well speaking, they don't know how to express themselves. So this facility might not taking care in the way they're supposed to be. So there are chances, there are some risk chances for the parents, but also this is parent choices. Is this a choice for the parents to make? If they want to put the child in a place that someone can take care of and they can get back to work so they can make this basic life spending, that is the option. The New York City have the program they call daycare voucher. So all these parents, they can get a voucher and they can use that throughout the city to get the program for the children.
Thank you. Vito?
So unfortunately, Mayor Adams in his budget, they're cutting the 3K programs that they wanted to push out citywide. They've stopped building it out, and I think that's a mistake. And in fact, we need to build out 3K and pre-K centers and make sure that every school district, every zip code, every area has enough of these 3K and pre-K centers to serve all of the people in the population, especially in areas where the kids aren't doing as well, and start there and build out to districts that are doing better and really, really well. With that, the 3K centers can be built out further. If you're building out a 3K center, you can build a couple more floors and you can have access to toddler, what do we call it, 1K, 2K? That's very, very expensive to do. I think we could utilize volunteer parents. We could utilize students to staff these programs. But we have to recreate in neighborhoods that are poorer. We have to recreate what parents of means do. Parents of means read to their children from the time that they're born. Parents of means go to Mommy and Me on Saturday, Music and Me, and whatever else. I forgot what we did all. But education of our children starts at birth. No, strike that. It starts before birth with good maternal care, and that's another thing that we have to address.
Thank you. The next question will be on the topic of housing. Vito, you'll be the first to answer this question. One of the main hurdles in creating more affordable housing in District 43 is the availability of land for new construction. Please share your thoughts on how we should be building affordable housing.
Well, I mean, it's not as simple as putting up buildings, right? We have to use existing structures that are underutilized, such as these retail establishments, to convert them to residential where appropriate, making sure that we have enough city services to go along with these conversions. But it's not as simple as building buildings. I was at community board meetings. We have 3 projects, one on 90th Street and Shore Road, one on New Utrecht Avenue, one on 86th Street, that are asking for upzoning. And you know what? The community doesn't want it. And we have to be cognizant of what the community wants and be respectful for all types of housing, including 1 and 2 family, residential, low-density buildings that the far-left progressives of the City Council want to destroy. We need to talk to our communities, and we need to do something that they do every place else, or most places, and it's called urban planning. A comprehensive plan, neighborhood by neighborhood, where we get together with input from the community, and we decide, okay, maybe along 13th Avenue, we have all of these storefronts. Maybe we make the storefronts higher with apartments that have a 25% affordability, 50% market rate, or some mix. But that's what we have to do. Whatever we do, the most important thing is to do it in partnership with the community, and as a city council member, I will facilitate that discussion.
Thank you. Ying, same question.
So the population has not grown for the last 2 years, but the inflation caused the affordable housing crisis in the city. It is impossible for us to find affordable housing right now under $1,000. Why the high taxes, maintaining costs, and also other fixed increase? Homeowners have to increase the rent accordingly. And especially right now, the extremely long and costly eviction process, homeowners tend to keep the empty apartment rather than renting out to the public. So this is also the main cause for the housing demand crisis. In order to solve this problem, we have to expedite the eviction process in court, so the homeowner will feel more comfortable to rent out the space. And also, in order to have a new building to have affordable units, it has to be rezoning, so we can have at least 20% of the affordable unit in each building. But what about the quality of life for the residents? If the population has been increased a lot and we always have traffic congestion. In the past few years, we have a lot of one family compared to multiple families. The contract on the developers should not build expensive lots only for rich but cannot stay of the affordable housing. In order to minimize this impact, I would suggest to convert industry building that more radius, more acceptable.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to our final open-ended question. We'll start with Ying. What will be the first piece of legislation you will introduce as council member?
As a council member? Okay, as a council member, I would suggest that.
Yep, sure. Let me repeat the question. What will be the first piece of legislation that you will introduce as council member?
Okay, as a council member, I will illustrate it for
The first piece of legislation. So anything that you want to introduce in the entirety of city council that you would like to put into law.
Okay, I would say for more on the middle class senior citizens, I would make them more affordable to qualify for the resources that we have.
Great, thank you. Vito, same question.
Thank you. The previous city councils have defunded, demoralized, and demonized our New York City police officers. They did that by removing qualified immunity from them and by passing a diaphragm law that is vague and it puts police officers' lives at risk. My first piece of legislation would be to define diaphragm, would be to throw out the diaphragm law and to define specifically what a chokehold is, as obstruction of either the carotid artery or the trachea, and don't say that it's illegal, and that if a cop is wrestling with somebody, that he's automatically liable for a misdemeanor if he touches their diaphragm or if he's struggling with them. That's insane. That sends the message to police officers, do not do anything. We have to get rid of that law, and what we want to say, we define obstruction of the trachea or the carotid arteries. We define that as deadly physical force. So that not that it's illegal, but that the officer or anybody has to justify using it. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to move into the portion where the candidate gets to ask the other candidate, if they choose, a question. So, Vito?
Hello.
Hi.
So I'm curious. I know that you're familiar with senior centers in the nonprofit world. What do you think is a good return for services? In other words, what percentage of a nonprofit business should be toward the actual services and the mission of the nonprofit? I know Tunnel to Towers, one of my favorites, let me throw it out there. They're like 95% of all of their money goes to their mission. What do you think is a good ratio?
Okay, so first of all, I would say I would put more regulation because I'm aware that some of the non-profit organizations, they're not using the fund in a proper way. So they're going to waste a lot of taxpayers' money. I would say I would put more regulation. I will keep on tracking on how those non-profit organizations use the money and make sure that they put all the program into our community.
Great. Thank you. Ying, you have an opportunity to also ask a question as well.
Okay, so Vito, I know you were community liaison in education and public safety for Lester Chan. However, I only know that you've been to one precinct community meeting. A lot of time you're having great time in cake. Is it K-Cup that is where you usually spend your vacation on? Okay, so that is kind of waste of taxpayers' money and time. How would you prove that you won't abuse our taxpayer like when you get elected?
So, are you saying I can't go on vacation? I don't, I have a house in Cape Cod, I love it, it's great. We can learn so much from what Massachusetts done. Massachusetts, the bluest state, they have a marijuana law that isn't as messed up as the New York State law is. In Massachusetts, you don't have ice cream trucks containing marijuana up and down our children's streets. You don't have illegal marijuana shops on every corner. Because you know why? Because every legal marijuana shop has a security guard, oftentimes an off-duty police officer who's working overtime, checking IDs to make sure that children aren't getting in there, that those shops are acting legally and responsibly. Okay, we could learn so much from other municipalities, including Florida and Massachusetts and otherwise. And I will be, no matter where in the world I am, I will be fighting for the district. I will be fighting for the district. Thank you, Dimitri. Shout out to Dimitri there. Listen, that's the way it is. No matter where in the world, we have people in place that will take care of this, and it's about driving policy. It's about knowing the issues and pushing forth the best way to resolve problems. And I could do that from the moon.
Thank you. Next up is the lightning round. So we have 5 yes or no questions. They're meant to be hard, so please try to say yes or no, and keep it only to yes or no. Ying, you will answer first, and then Vito. Here we go. Do you support congestion pricing?
Congestion pricing?
No. It was easy.
Do you support outdoor street dining?
Right now.
No.
Do you support the expansion of gifted and talented programs?
Expansion, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you support the legalization of basement apartments?
Wow, this is a tough one. It really depends on like if you convert it to the legal housing, that would be a problem to solve the rental system and also the housing crisis. But also we have to make sure that it's safe to be legalized.
Okay.
Yes, what she said.
What you said. Okay. Lastly, do you support fair share?
Yeah, sure. It really depends as well.
You can, if you want to elaborate, you can.
Okay, I would say that everybody has a tough time to use all this welfare, and I recommend they use it as somehow, but I don't want people abuse the system and use all this welfare.
So yes, with guidelines.
Okay, great. Thank you for trying to stick to it. Okay, so we're now going to start with closing statements. You'll each have 2 minutes for closing statements. And we'd like you to please address why you believe you're the best candidate to serve as the next council member for District 43. We're reversing the order from the opening remarks, so Ying, you will start, and then Vito gets to close out the program.
Okay, so I have been doing a lot of social service in the community in the last 7 years. I'm aware that what our senior citizens need and what they need to be taken care of. And I am a person who is very hardworking, passionate, and very well to listen to all the people. Whatever the concern will be my concern. I'll be here 24 hours, 7 days a week to serve our community. And whenever you have a problem, come to me. I'm a light and light girl. I will go line by line to fix a problem for you. So yeah, please vote for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, this was very painless. Thank you so much. I want to finish up by saying that this is a Republican primary. Republicans don't usually have primaries. I know the Democrats do. But it's very analogous to what I like to call spring training. In spring training, whether you're a Yankee fan or a Met fan, you know, the first weeks of spring training, you break up the team and you have inter-squad games. And when you do that, you know, when one member of the team is playing against another member and they're sliding into base, they don't go spikes up really hard because they always remember that that's the person that's still on my team. That's the person that when spring training is over, we're going to have to work together and fight to beat all of the other teams. Come July, whoever wins this contest is going to have to work with all of the Republicans, have to work with moderate Democrats, and cobble together independents and reach out to everybody from every community. And together, we need to beat the Democrat candidate. We need to push back against far-left progressive policies and laws that are destroying this city. I have a 32-year history of fighting for this city. I have a 10-year history of fighting for the community, including the Asian community specifically. I was asked by Assemblymember Lester Chang to do this. I was nominated by the Republican and Conservative parties to do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Can I have a round of applause for our 2 candidates? And thank you so much for being respectful of time and making my job easy as well. I wish you both luck, and thank you for joining us today.